Emma Carson stood outside the glass doors of Bennett Consulting Group, her heart pounding as she clutched her worn clipboard and her 7-year-old son's hand. It was barely 7 in the morning, and already the day felt impossible. "Remember what we talked about, Tyler?" Emma whispered, kneeling down to meet her son's eyes. "You have to be very, very quiet. Sit in the break room with your books and your tablet. Don't bother anyone. Can you do that for Mommy?" Tyler nodded solemnly, his brown eyes too serious for a child his age. "I'll be good, Mom, I promise." Emma felt her throat tighten. At 28, she'd been a single mother for 3 years. Ever since her husband had walked out, leaving her with a toddler and a mountain of debt. She'd worked her way from receptionist to junior accounts manager through sheer determination, but the struggle never got easier. Every day was a careful juggling act of childcare schedules, work demands, and the constant fear that one misstep would send everything crashing down. This morning, that fear had become reality. Her babysitter had texted at 5:30 a.m., family emergency, couldn't watch Tyler. Emma had called every backup option she had. Nothing, and she couldn't miss work. She was already on thin ice with her supervisor after taking time off last month when Tyler had the flu. So here she stood, breaking company policy by bringing her son to work, hoping desperately that no one would notice or care. They made it to the break room without incident. Emma set Tyler up in the corner with his backpack full of books, his tablet loaded with educational games, and a snack she'd packed. "I'll check on you every hour," she promised. "If you need anything, text me." "And Tyler—" "I know, Mom, stay quiet. Don't bother anyone." Tyler gave her a small smile. "It's okay. I've got this." Emma kissed his forehead, blinking back tears, and headed to her desk. For 3 hours, everything was fine. Emma worked through her morning tasks, checking her phone periodically for any messages from Tyler. Nothing. He was being perfect, just as he'd promised. Then, at 10 o'clock, her supervisor, Linda, appeared at her desk, her face tight with disapproval. "Emma, I need to see you in my office, now." Emma's stomach dropped. She followed Linda down the hallway, her mind racing through excuses, explanations, anything that might save her job. Linda closed the office door and turned to face her, arms crossed. "Is there a child in our break room?" "Linda, I can explain. Do you have any idea how inappropriate this is? This is a professional workplace, Emma, not a daycare center." "I know, and I'm so sorry. My babysitter had an emergency, and I had no other options." Tyler is being completely quiet. He's not bothering anyone. "I promise this won't happen again." "You're right. It won't happen again," Linda interrupted coldly. "Because you're fired. Effective immediately. This is the final straw, Emma. You've been unreliable for months, calling in sick, leaving early, now bringing your child to work. We need someone we can count on." "Please," Emma said, hating the desperation in her voice. "I need this job. Tyler and I will lose our apartment. Please, Linda, I'll work extra hours. I'll take a pay cut. Just please don't fire me." "The decision is made. HR will process your termination paperwork. You have 1 hour to collect your things and leave the building." Linda's expression didn't soften. "And take your son with you." Emma walked back to her desk in a daze. Around her, colleagues whispered and glanced away. Everyone knew. Everyone had seen her humiliation. She was packing her few personal items into a box when she heard a commotion near the elevators. The CEO was on the floor, something that rarely happened. Michael Bennett, the 35-year-old founder of Bennett Consulting Group, was known for being brilliant but distant, more comfortable with spreadsheets than people. Emma ignored the murmurs of excitement. She didn't care about the CEO right now. She cared about how she was going to feed her son next week. She was heading toward the break room to get Tyler when she heard her name. "Emma Carson?" She turned to find Michael Bennett standing behind her. Up close, he was younger than she'd expected, with dark hair and sharp features softened by an expression of concern. "Yes, Mr. Bennett? I heard you were just terminated. Is that correct?" Emma felt fresh humiliation wash over her. Of course he'd heard. The CEO probably reviewed all terminations. Yes, sir. I was just collecting my son and leaving. Why were you fired? Emma swallowed hard. I brought my child to work. My babysitter had an emergency, and I had no other options. I know it was against policy, but... Where is your son now? In the break room. He's been quiet all morning. He hasn't bothered anyone. Show me. Confused, Emma led Michael to the break room. Tyler was exactly where she'd left him, sitting cross-legged on the floor in his blue hoodie, completely absorbed in a book about space. He looked so small, so vulnerable, and Emma felt tears threaten again. Michael stood in the doorway for a long moment, just watching Tyler. Then he did something unexpected. He walked in and sat down on the floor next to him. "What are you reading?" Michael asked. Tyler looked up, startled, then showed him the book. "It's about black holes. They're really cool. They can trap light and everything." "I know," Michael said gently. "I used to read books about space too when I was your age." Tyler's face lit up. "Really? What's your favorite planet?" "Saturn. I like the rings." Michael smiled, and Emma saw something shift in his expression, something vulnerable and human. "Can I tell you something, Tyler? When I was 7 years old, just like you, my mom used to bring me to her office sometimes." Emma's breath caught. "She was a single mom," Michael continued, his voice quiet. "She worked as a secretary at a law firm, and sometimes, when she couldn't afford a babysitter, she'd bring me to work. I'd sit in the break room just like you, with my books and my homework, trying to be invisible." Tyler's eyes were wide. "What happened?" "One day her boss found out. He fired her on the spot. Said it was unprofessional, that children didn't belong in a workplace." Michael's jaw tightened at the memory. "I never forgot how that felt, watching my mom cry, knowing it was because of me, knowing that someone had decided we didn't matter enough to deserve a chance. He'd difference." Looked up at Emma, and she saw tears in his eyes. "I built this company because I remembered being that kid. Because I promised myself that if I ever had power, I'd use it to make sure no one had to choose between their job and their family." He stood up. "Emma, you're not fired. In fact, I'm promoting you to senior accounts manager, effective immediately, with a 20% raise." Emma stared at him, unable to process what she was hearing. What? "And furthermore," Michael continued, his voice stronger now, "I'm announcing a new company policy today. Bennett Consulting Group will be implementing an on-site childcare program for employees. Until that's up and running, any employee who has a childcare emergency is welcome to bring their child to work. We'll set up a dedicated space with supervision." He looked around the break room at the few employees who'd gathered to watch, curious about why the CEO was sitting on the floor with a child. This company was built on the principle that good people deserve good opportunities. Emma Carson is an excellent employee who's been dealing with impossible circumstances. Instead of punishing her for being human, we're going to support her. And any employee in a similar situation